Now, Voodoo Circle is a band that's been around for a long time. It is a band that, of course, was founded by now former Primal Fear guitar player Alex Bayrote, and obviously has former Pink Cream 69 singer David Reedman, because I think Pink Cream 69 at this point is really no longer a band right now. So, new Voodoo Circle, Hail to the King. I remember the first Voodoo Circle album that came out, really liked it. I really like David Reedman's voice as well. And a little bit of a shameless plug, I sang on a record with him on the new Empires of Eden. So let's get back to Voodoo Circle. First of all, I'm just going to say right away, it's my favorite album they have ever put out. Voodoo Circle is one of those bands. It's kind of a mix between like 70s hard rock and maybe some power metal kind of mixed in. I mean, it's definitely different than what Alex was doing in, say, Silent Force or in like Primal Fear. David Reedman, his voice, he sounds a lot different on these albums than because it is different music compared to Pink Cream 69. You know, Pink Cream 69 with David Reedman singing, it only had a little bit of that kind of old school vibe, but it didn't have like that 70s blues hard rock vibe that Voodoo Circle does. And, you know, Voodoo Circle's always been one of those bands. Again, it has that 70s hard rock vibe, blues vibe mixed in with a little bit of power metal. And I think it's actually a good mix. Hail to the King, honestly, from the production standpoint and from the songwriting standpoint, in my opinion, this is the best album they've ever done. You know, in the past, you know, say for the first 2 or 3 records, they were one of those bands that, you know, was kind of like, you know, to me, a little bit more inconsistent. The songwriting was good in a lot of places, and then there was parts of these records that you're like, okay, but they really didn't inspire me as much as, say, the last 2 or 3 albums, especially the last 2 Voodoo Circle albums. But Hail to the King, I think, musically, is the best album they've ever done. Now, here's one thing that we can take as a positive to Alex leaving Primal Fear. Right now, this is his only band. You know, and one of the biggest complaints I've had about the music industry is, you know, in the old days, artists, they didn't really do a lot of side projects. They weren't playing in multiple bands. You know, it's in like, you know, 5, 6 different bands in some cases. They were only concentrating on the songs and the songwriting in the band that they were in. There was more of a concentration on that one group. But because of the way money works or doesn't work in the music industry, depending on who you talk to, people play in multiple bands. You know, if you want to keep making a, you know, steady income, you play in one band, go on a tour, play in another band, go on a tour, etc., etc. Now, there may be some conflicts, you know, like the Mark Asagata conflict, you know, with Death Angel and, you know, obviously playing with Kerry King. But in general, a lot of these people are playing in multiple groups. So now that Alex is down a band and he's only really playing in Voodoo Circle, at least at this point, he can concentrate on just this one band. And typically when that happens, the releases typically get better with that band. You know, take a look at Brainstorm, for example, Andy Frank. He sang in the band Simforce. There were 2 bands going simultaneously. The Brainstorm albums, it wasn't a coincidence that after Simforce basically broke up and he stopped singing in that band, that Brainstorm started putting out albums, the best albums of their career. And they have a new one coming out, by the way, as well. And I got to be honest with you, that's no coincidence. He's concentrating on one band as opposed to 2. So I'm really looking forward to the future. I'm not saying Alex shouldn't join any other bands, but man, when you are able to put a lot of your effort and concentration into a record, look at how good it comes out. People always ask me, why does Halloween usually put out very good and consistent albums? For the most part, those guys are pretty much concentrating just on Halloween. They might have some small projects, like Sasha's got a project that he does that's not really metal. Kai Hansen has Gamma Ray, but he's really not putting records out at this point. He'll do shows. But all of their concentration is going straight into each Halloween album. Because these guys really aren't doing like solo projects for the most part. You don't see them doing a lot of that. You don't see them touring and playing in multiple bands. I think that's helped the songwriting greatly in Halloween and why it's been consistent. Well, if you look at Voodoo Circle, the same thing applies on this new album. So I'll be honest with you, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it a 9. I think it's actually absolutely a brilliant record. It really, really is. And it's probably a borderline top 5 album for me this year, if not top 5. So I'd check it out. Voodoo Circle, new album, Hail to the King. Hey everybody, Tony here from the Metal Command podcast. Again, I appreciate your support. Since 1998, I have hosted this show in one form or another, starting off in radio and now in the podcast format. Again, thanks for watching, and if you like what you see and hear on this show, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified anytime I do post a video, and if you see this program on any other form of social media, please give me a follow there. Again, I always appreciate your support.